Hi everyone, I'm Pranita and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to be learning a festive dish called Undralla Payasam. This is usually made on a festival day called Vinayaka Chaviti in Telugu or Ganesh Chaturthi in Hindi. So let's go ahead and take a look at the ingredients. So these are the ingredients you're going to need for this recipe. Here I have 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour, that is chapati flour, and 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 cup of milk. I'm using organic whole milk, and this is 1/2 cup of water. Now this water is for boiling purposes, not to knead the dough. We're gonna use a little bit of water to knead the dough later. And I also have some nuts. There are some cashews, unsalted pistachios, and some slivered almonds. None of these are toasted yet. And I have some clarified butter, that is ghee. I'm going to be using about 2 teaspoons of it and 2 pods of cardamom. The next thing to do is to just knead the chapati dough. I took an additional of a tablespoon of water, and since it's just 1/4 cup of dough, you won't be needing a lot of water. So just add the water and go ahead and knead it nicely. The chapati dough is nicely kneaded and it's nice and tough. I didn't smooth out the dough yet, but I'm just gonna cover it up and let it sit for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna knead it a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and start making the undrallu. Dough is resting. Let's go ahead and toast the nuts. Now here I have 2 teaspoons of clarified butter. Now just melt it, and we don't want it smoking hot, because once the clarified butter gets to a smoking point, it just starts to burn. And I've added all the nuts, the slivered almonds, cashews and pistachios, and the cardamom, because I like to infuse the clarified butter, that is ghee, with the cardamom flavor, so that before serving it to the guests I can just fish them out. So when the nuts starts to toast up, they kind of become a little bit foamy and bubbly, and that's when you know that the clarified butter is heating up enough to toast the nuts, and they're picking up a nice color. Now this dish barely needs any clarified butter. This is just to enhance and give that nice flavor, since it's very aromatic and very good. And in order to not to burn the nuts, I'm just gonna turn off the heat at this point. You might not really see that they're picking up a lot of color, but since the clarified butter is still hot, it keeps cooking. So let's take them into another dish. So let's go ahead and make the undrallu for the Undralla Payasam. Now undrallu, this is the main and the time consuming part out of the whole dish. This is the only part which takes some time. So the chapati dough has been resting for 5 minutes, and I had some leftover clarified butter. This is the butter that I used to toast the nuts. So I took that into a small bowl, and I have some extra flour for dusting. This is also wheat flour. So we're gonna sprinkle the plate with a little bit of chapati flour. So let me show you guys how I make undrallu for this dish. Now I have turned the chapati dough into a nice thin log just by you know, like a rubbing motion on it, and then just like that. And now I tear a little piece that is like this, and no matter what shape it is, I try to mold it into a little wheat shape and throw it in the dusted plate again. Remember that these little wheat shapes, they actually plump up into double the size that they are. So whatever size you're making, expect that it's gonna be double the size that you're gonna get. So we're gonna keep doing this for the dough. As I said, this is the most time consuming part of this whole dish. So just, and once if you see that some of the wheat shaped undrallu are sticking together, don't worry, they're gonna separate. Once the whole plate is filled with this, then I'm gonna dust it with a little bit of flour and then go ahead and do the second batch. So I'm gonna finish up and do some more undralu so that I can go ahead and show you guys how I make the payasam for that. So this is the undralu part and that's gonna be the payasam part. Alright, I ended up making half of the dough what I planned for, and I made undralu with half of the chapati dough. So I'm gonna use half of the ingredients that I've shown you before, but if you have done undralu with all of the dough, then you should go ahead and use all of the ingredients measurements that I have shown you guys. And if you're doubling the recipe, you can definitely double the ingredients as well. So for the next part of the recipe, we are gonna go ahead and add the water, since I said half of the ingredients, and I'm gonna bring that to a boil and go ahead and add undralu once it comes to a nice boil. And I have milk here which I only want half of it, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat it up 1 minute in the microwave so it's nice and warm, or even hot milk is fine. Alright, I'm not sure if you guys can see, but the water is to a nice sizzle. We're gonna just go ahead with all the flour and everything. Don't worry that they're not gonna stick. So I've added the undralu, and now we're gonna just go ahead and simmer them slowly. It should take anywhere between 5 minutes to 7 minutes until they are cooked. They are very small, so they cook faster and they plump up, so you'll definitely and easily know. And once the water goes down, we'll go ahead and add some sugar to it. When you see like half of the water or more than half of the water is evaporated, you can check one of the undralu and see if they are cooked. Now when they are cooked, they just feel nice and smooth. They just don't feel like doughy. At this point, let's go ahead and add the sugar. As I mentioned before, I only used half of the dough for undralu, what I've shown before, so I'm gonna use just half of the sugar. So let's go ahead and add the sugar. So the water is mostly evaporated. I'm gonna go ahead and add the sugar just a little bit. Remember, it's just the wheat flour that added. We didn't add any sugar to it, so there is no other sugar source that's coming into this dish. This is the only way. Now let's make sure that the sugar is melted nicely, and once it's melted, all you need to do is get the milk, but you have to really make sure that it's completely dissolved. So this is the Undralla Payasam ready to be served. Once you add the milk and the sugar, the undralu doesn't cook anymore, so they don't soak up all the milk and plump up. They actually stay the way they are, so that you can enjoy them hot or cold. If you are serving them cold, I would say skip on the clarified butter, because when it is cold, the clarified butter kind of solidifies, so you would feel like you're eating chunks of clarified butter instead of a nice smooth coating. The great thing about this dish is the amount of sugar and the amount of clarified butter that goes into dish is completely controlled by you. You can add more or less. Here it's a little bit more, but this recipe doesn't call for a lot of clarified butter at all. So hope you enjoyed watching this recipe. So here is the Undralla Payasam ready to be served. The one thing that I ran out this week was actually some fresh coconut shavings that I always have them in the freezer, but this time I ran out of it and I couldn't find it in the store. But if you do happen to have fresh coconut, you please go ahead and add some fresh chunks to it. It gives a great flavor. You can sprinkle a little bit of coconut powder, and this Undralla Payasam, the wheat shapes, actually when I was a kid, I always used to request my mom for this dish on a festive day. My mom would give me a little bit of wheat flour and she would ask me to make these little wheat shapes, and she taught me a long time ago, and I would be very proud and happy that at the end of the day I get to eat this dish and I get to help out my mom. And As long as I could remember, I was making these sweet shapes for this dish. So this is one of those dishes where you can involve your kids in cooking, which is very safe and easy and fun to make. So thank you very much for watching. You can find this recipe and many more at booklesscooking.com. Hope you guys have a wonderful and a safe Vinayaka Chavati or Ganesh Chaturthi.